Hello, my name is Steve Moessner, and I have known the Lord for several years. Today's reading is from the book of Mark, chapter 6, verses 30 through 56. The key idea of this passage is that Jesus is the Good Shepherd who knows, leads, feeds, and protects his flock. The key verse is verse 34, which states that when he, Jesus, went ashore, he saw the great crowd and had compassion on them because they seemed like sheep without a shepherd. This passage describes the feeding of the 5,000, and that's what most people would remember about this section of the Bible. However, we see repeatedly Jesus, the Good Shepherd, knowing, leading, feeding, and protecting his flock. The passage begins with the disciples returning from ministry. They had been scattered about, preaching the good news of salvation. They were coming together to give an account of what they had seen and what they had said and done. Jesus recommended that they get away to a remote place for rest. This is the Good Shepherd protecting his flock, his disciples, from exhaustion and fatigue. Jesus, the man, knew very well the importance of spiritual and physical rest. However, at this time, a large crowd of people have gathered, people who desperately want to see Jesus, to be healed and touched by Jesus. Jesus' response, as the Good Shepherd, he leads and feeds his people because he saw them as sheep without a shepherd. It does not say that he healed people at this time, but he taught them many things. He always knew what people needed. The disciples' response was, hey, we were going to go get some rest, and now this looks like work. In fact, when the hour became late, it became obvious that people needed food, physical food. The disciples' response, it is late. We are in the middle of nowhere. These people can go home and eat. Are we to spend 200 denarii to feed these people? It does not seem very practical. All we have are 2 fish and 5 loaves. Jesus' response, he thanked his Father in heaven for the food, blessed the Lord, his Father, for giving the food, and 5,000 men, and probably even more total people, because of women and children, were fed. The Bible at this time states that Jesus commanded the people to sit in rows of 50s and 100s. It also states that everyone was fed and was satisfied. In fact, 12 basketfuls of leftovers were gathered. This shows that Jesus understood the importance of stewardship, not being wasteful, and it showed that he can use whatever our offering and tithe is, even if it's 2 fish and 5 loaves and seems completely inadequate for the needs at hand. Jesus will bless and use what we have and what we give sincerely to his honor and glory. After this, Jesus still had time to pray, even though it was very late. Again, this is Jesus, the Good Shepherd, knowing, leading, feeding, and protecting his people. He dismissed the disciples and told them to meet him at Bethsaida across the sea. Later in the passage, we see Jesus walking along the shore, noticing his disciples struggling to row against the wind. He walks on water, enters the boat, and the wind's calm. The disciples' response, you'd think, having seen miracles and knowing Jesus, they would have been thrilled and excited. Instead, they were terrified and utterly confounded. The passage states that this was because they were completely clueless about the meaning of the loaves and the fish, that their hearts were hardened. I wonder if our hearts are hardened sometimes from the busyness of the world. Sometimes we struggle to row against the winds of life. Jesus, the Good Shepherd, is there to help us and protect us. We can trust Jesus to lay down his life for us, as the Good Shepherd does for his sheep, and he has on the cross. And we know that Jesus, the Good Shepherd, will lead, feed, and protect us. That is the message of today's scripture.